Ursula Burns, the first Afro-American woman to head a Fortune 500 firm, is in India right now. Her first visit after taking over as the CEO of Xerox. Her visit comes at a time when the government is going all out to attract foreign investment into the country. Now, in an exclusive chat with ET Now, Burns says that India remains a market with high and unpredictable risks. But Xerox is ready to pump in dollars provided the government plays its cards straight. Here's a slice of an exclusive interview with Burns.
Yeah, I'm actually, in some ways, still pretty positive on these markets. Actually, in many ways, still very positive on these markets, because while the growth has slowed, it's still growing. And I think that operating a business model that's specific to the countries that we're engaged in, operating that business model well, and being very specific for the markets will, people who operate better will actually see more growth. I think overall it's slowed down, but I tell you, compared to some of the other economies around the world, they're doing pretty well.
Specifically about India, the problems probably get accentuated a little bit because most multinational companies that we speak to are worried about the the governance deficit that we see in the country. There are ad hoc tax demands. The policy regime is probably not as transparent as large multinationals like yours would want. Does that, in a sense, worry you a little bit more? The fact that you don't have an enabling environment for big-ticket investment?
Definitely. I think that the rules of the game in a country like India are different than the rules of the game in a country like the US or in some of the European countries. But those rules haven't changed massively from a year ago or 5 years ago. So I think it's important that we actually improve transparency, we improve consistency in laws, we improve the balance that doesn't create a deficit for Indian companies versus non-Indian companies. I think that's all important. But I think that this is a place that hasn't changed dramatically since, in the last 10 years. While it would be great if it did change dramatically for the better, we know how to operate here in the current environment.
You're saying a decision to scale up significantly in a country like India is a function of, whether the government and the regulatory environment improve significantly.
By the way, the decision to scale up anywhere, including in the United States, by the way, which has government and regulatory challenges as well, anywhere is a risk-reward-based decision. Some of that risk has to do with predictability from a long-term perspective. So whether or not you have a set of tax policies that will stay consistent, reasonably consistent over time, whether you can get a return on your investment of people or land building and equipment, whatever kind of investment you're making. That set of decisions absolutely is a risk-weighted one.
So would you call India as a market with high and predictable risk or high and unpredictable risk?
I think high and relatively unpredictable risk.
But at the core, sitting in the US, when you think India, you think growth or you think chaos? What's your natural instinct?
Oh, I think growth for sure, and with growth comes some chaos.